Welcome to Purpose Driven Mom Show, episode 499. I'm super excited to share with you a conversation I had with Kate House, actually for her podcast. But we got done, and I was like, Kate, please give me this because I know my audience needs to hear this right now. We talk about how do you grow your confidence when you feel like you're failing all the time. How, when you show up for tiny steps and tiny little ways for your goals, you will actually achieve more, and we get raw, open, and honest about what's going on with our own goals and how we get past that voice in our head that tells us we're not doing enough. Show notes are over at purposedrivenmom.com/podcast 499. Head over, listen to this interview now, and then go check out Kate's podcast because it's amazing.
Hey, love, welcome to the Owning Her Authority Summit. I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome, welcome.
I'm so pumped to just have continue the conversation. We were just saying we like could sit and chat forever before we get started, but it's going to be really great to have a focused conversation today to just help empower everybody else.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, for everybody who's tuning in, maybe they haven't heard our podcast collabs, our summit collabs, all the things we've done together over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're all about, and who do you support and serve with the work that you do?
Sure. I'm Cara Harvey. I am a productivity life coach specifically for moms, and I help work at home moms cross things off their to do list without feeling scattered and losing themselves along the way. I'm a mom of three.
Mm.
My kids we just had birthdays 8, 10, and 19. And I'm a former school teacher turned, I always say, like accidental entrepreneur. I don't think a lot of us mean to step into this space. I am the host of the Purpose Driven Mom podcast and the author of the book, The 15-Minute Formula. And I have been in this space for about 8 years, just helping moms figure out how they can get the things done that matter to them and have space for their own goals, have space for their work, have space for the things that light them up without hustle and burnout. Because I've been there multiple times where I'm
Mhm.
grinding down to zero and I lose myself along the way. And I realized about 8 years ago, I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I kind of stepped into the space to help other moms.
I love that. Well, Carrie, you've totally helped me because when I started podcasting, you were already like 3, 4 years into your journey. And I remember the first time we chatted, and like, I think your book had come out not that long ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's a direction I would really love to go. And now, like, here we are at the event launching the book or pre launching the book. And it's just really cool to see like the impact that you've had not only in your whole community, but like on me personally, like, and inspiring me to be like, wow, look what a mompreneur can do, like, and I think you're just such a great example of that.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, so speaking of, like, mompreneurs, I know a lot of us wear a lot of different hats, right? We're partners, we're parents potentially, career, all these things. What has, like, experience been like for you with trying to wear all of these different hats? Because I think sometimes there's this idea that we as speakers have it all together,
Yeah.
which makes me giggle because 'cause I'm like, "Nope, I'm buying the skylight calendar like everybody else out there trying to get my life organized." But what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's funny because I talk to some of the women and the moms I coach and stuff, and I always tell them, like, I still struggle with many of the things you struggle with, but
Mhm.
my bounce back is faster. Like, my rebound is
Mm.
faster. Like, I've learned the tools that, like, I just came home from a very busy weekend. This morning, I literally sat down here and I felt my anxiety rise because I was like, my brain does the thing that I'm sure everyone else's brain does, right? Like, I'm so behind. I have all these things to do. Where am I supposed to start? And I was able to like take my own tools and I just talked to
Mm.
myself and I said, all right, what is the next step? Like, and I just
Mm.
coached myself through it. So when I started this, I didn't mean to, right? I was teaching, I left, I went into entrepreneurship via network marketing. I did that.
Mm.
And then when my son was born, I was struggling with postpartum anxiety and depression. And I
Mhm.
was just feeling that overwhelm of what am I supposed to do? And I
Yeah.
went to Google and Pinterest and Instagram, all those places. And all I found was like, hustle more, do more, wake up before your kid, right? The shame
Yep.
based marketing that's very bro centered that a lot of
Mhm.
productivity people live in, right? If
Yeah.
you just want it bad enough. And I always tell people, and maybe others can relate, I am a very disciplined person. I'm not motivated. I
Mm.
struggle with motivation, and a lot of us do. And because I think we believe that if we just want something badly enough, we will just be motivated to do it. And when we don't show up, we get down on ourselves. I could never do this. There's something wrong with me. What is this? I want this so badly, but I'm not making it happen. It must be because of me. And so that kind of like
Mhm.
has been my work at home journey of trying to figure this out. Cause like I have run this business, one kid at preschool, half day, full time, part time, during the pandemic, full time school. Like I now both of my kids are in full time traditional school. Like I've done all of those things and had to adapt over time with the different seasons and the different things that change. And I think for those of us out here who are trying to wear all the hats, I just want to encourage you that while there's no arrival, unfortunately, right? We don't get to this place where we have it all figured out. You can get to a place where you have systems and tools that you can pull from your toolbox based on what you're struggling with that
Mm,
make it easier. Because for me, it's a lot of filtering through what can I let go of, what can I delegate, and what do I
mm,
need to prioritize and focus on. And I feel like adding that in with pre-planning allows me to move forward step by step, even when I'm struggling and feeling like and listen, I am a productivity coach. Do you imagine the amount of imposter syndrome that I feel on days where I'm like, I don't have it all together. But then I have to remind myself that I don't need to have it all together. I just need to move
mhm.
forward.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more that it's like it's about making that forward progress and just honoring where you are that day. Because I love that you mentioned, like, all the different seasons of life that you've had your business and that you've been working from home, right? Because like, same. Like, when I started the podcast, both boys were it was the middle of the I was a podcast pandemic podcast, a little bit words are hard. A pandemic podcast. So like, both my babies were home. They were 10 months and 2. And it was like, "Okay, how does this fit in?" And then, like, starting daycare and then school and then, like, "Oh, they're in school full time," but it's like they're sick all the time, so they're not actually in school
Yes.
full time, you know? And so learning to adapt and meet yourself where you are while still making progress and having these goals that we're excited to pursue, but also, like, I love that you bring up, like, not leaning into that hustle culture, right? Of just like, "Do more, be better," because like, that's just not sustainable.
And if I wanted to do more and be better and it was that easy, I would have done it already, right?
Exactly.
There's the phrase like your why should be bigger than your excuses. And don't hear me wrong here. I think you should have a strong reason, a strong why.
Mm,
But I believe that the why has been taught to be the be all end all. Whereas I think that why is a tool in my toolbox. It is a piece that
mm,
helps me get things done. It's a piece I can lean into. It's not the only strategy that I need because I think especially for the moms I work with, I want to do better so I can make more money, so I can be debt free, so I can pay like, it's about my kids, so we can drill down to my kids. So when you're
mhm,
telling somebody, "Oh, you don't want it badly enough, you're not trying hard enough, you don't what isn't your why important enough?" You're essentially shaming them into being like, "You don't care enough. You're not a good enough
yeah,
mom because if you cared more about your" and that's all garbage. But this is the language we've been fed. So
mhm,
instead of, "How can I just show up in this explosive way all the time?" I always coach my moms like, "How can we show up today? Like, what can you do today to be your win?" Because that will compound for you. It's not just about always go big or go home. That's
mhm.
literally the road to burnout, resentment, and unproductivity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think like I started this new routine this year, just kind of anecdotally. So I drop the boys off at school in the morning. They take the bus home, and it's like this great balance for our family. But most days, I drop them off at school and I drive right to my favorite coffee shop downtown. Because for some reason, if like even though I work from home and I love my home office, I'm in it right now. It's like my favorite space in our whole house. But like the work I do there is different than the work I like to do at home. And there's something about being in a space getting my pretty latte, seeing the same barista every day, like seeing the same regulars, putting in my like don't talk to me headphones, like putting them on so nobody talks to me, but I get to be around people. Like it's so helpful. And just making that little tweak has helped me make progress every day. Cause Karen and I were talking about how we don't like love email. And that's like when I'm like, okay, Kate, you treated yourself to your latte. Now you have to spend 20 minutes in your inbox.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard too, going back to the first kind of stuff we were talking about with all the roles that we play. I think
Yeah.
when you're home, it is really challenging to put on blinders and not see the dishes in the sink that I currently
Hmm.
have. And this is the thing I would say, I still have the dishes. I just have a time plan later in my day to work on them. So
Yeah.
I put on those blinders. Like it's a tool, right? Like I've pre-planned when I'm going to do the dishes. But it is
Yes.
hard to not get distracted. My husband works from home a couple days a week. He started that this year and he was like, "Is
Mm.
this" he was like, "How do you do this?" Because he wants to watch ESPN, and then he wants to grab a snack, and I'm like, "It is." So, to your
Um,
point of changing that environment, I think that helps
mhm.
as a tool when we're getting stuck, because when I'm here, right, I'm in my office gym craft area, right? I also see the mess. I also see the personal emails. I'm a Girl Scout leader as well. Cookie season is upon us, right? So I'm also getting the texts about things people like, and it's hard to compartmentalize without for the what I do is I pre-plan out like my themed blocks. It's like part of my big
Mhm.
strategy because if I didn't, I would be like, well, yes, everyone needs this, 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 and this for me. Let me do this instead of
Yeah.
what did Kara on Sunday decide was what I
Mhm.
needed to work on. And I said this last night. I was doing our weekly planning. We do a session in my program. And I mentioned I'm a Girl Scout leader. I have a meeting tonight. Now, I'm normally like, my Friday, I pack my bag. Like, I'm ready for Monday. Like, I don't like to play around with last minute stuff. I don't operate well that way. But I was doing this thing for my sister. I was gone. So thankfully, last night, I came home and I sat there and I was like, thank you, Kara from December, who wrote the lesson plan. So I was able to like
Mhm.
open up my lesson plan because I pre planned. And today, yes, I had to run one errand to get something, but that was it. And
Yeah.
I think part of being able to set up your environment for success is knowing what your different roles are and then saying, where
Mhm.
do I work best for this? So you might be like, hey, I know admin stuff is really challenging for me, like to stay focused on. I'm gonna do that at
Mhm.
the coffee shop. And I know that I need to write some copy, but I'm best there at the library because if I'm home, then I
Mhm.
see the TV and there's all these things. And so I think those sort of things help you build momentum when it comes to getting work done. Because for me, as soon as I start like veering off during my workday to do,
Mhm.
non-work things, it's a slippery slope, and then I'm
Oh,
the
yes.
other direction. But the thing I always tell myself is, like, "Just get started." Like, just do the next thing even if I'm feeling stressed out, even feeling anxious, even if I'm overwhelmed and I don't know where to go, again, that's what I
Mhm.
told myself. I said, "What is the next thing you need to do for this?" And then you start to get going. And once you start to
Yeah.
move, then you feel, that I can do this. This is going to work out. I just have to move forward instead of I feel stuck because I haven't done what I thought I was going to do. Sometimes we just need to move a smidge.
Yes, I totally agree, and I think that is, like I think that's the key is that, like, it's the movement is so important, right? Like, you have to get into action, even if it's messy, even if it's not, like, the most ideal next step, but sometimes it's like you just gotta get moving, but what I hear in what you're sharing is this proactive approach instead of reactive. Like, past Kara was like, "I'm gonna write the lesson plan for future Kara." Like, past Kara was like, "Imma get that bag packed on Friday." So that way when Monday comes around, we're not hustling and bustling and forgetting things or stressing. I love that. And do you find that I feel like growing up, I was taught that like I was made to feel like you took action when you felt confident. And now as an adult, I have learned in starting a podcast and writing a book and all the things, right? It's actually the action for me that creates the confidence. It's the doing, it's the taking the next
Yes.
step. Has that been the case for you too?
Yeah, 100%. And there is this thing called the confidence competency loop, and it
Mhm.
actually proves this because, again, I'm sure all of us can think of someone in our head that comes off really confident and they know what they're talking about, but they don't know what they're talking about, right? They
Uh-huh.
don't have the competency, but they feel confident. Well, that's actually just arrogance, right? Like that's
Mm,
not confidence. And you can
mm,
feel that. So, one of the things that happens is when we start to take action on something that's either unfamiliar or new, think New Year's
mm,
resolutions, goals, we go for that first walk, we do that first thing.
mm.
We start to grow in confidence because our brain is like, oh, I am competent. I do understand how to do this thing. Like, I dabble in sourdough. And the first time I sourdough'd, I was like, what I don't even know these words. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. And it was messy, but it was better every single time. And now
Mhm,
every single time I'm like, "Okay, I could make a loaf. Like, I could do that," because my competency has raised
mhm,
small, tiny, tiny, tiny steps, my confidence grows. And when your confidence grows in things, you start to have that growth mindset, right? We've got our fix our growth mindset. Our
mhm.
fixed mindset is like, I could never do this. I don't know how to do anything. Our growth mindset, and I have a big growth mindset, like sometimes to a detriment. I truly believe I can do it. I'm literally like, I can
Same.
learn how to do anything. Like
Yep,
I coached my daughter's cheer team a couple years ago. I've never done that. I never cheered, but they needed an adult. I'm like, I'm a competent adult. I
yep.
bought a class, got certified. Like, I just believe this so deep in my core. I didn't always, right? This is like adult Kara who's had to work on herself. But that growth mindset of I can do anything. And so when we show up and we start to learn things and we get better at them, we feel confident. So I'm learning Spanish right now, relearning it. I want to talk to my neighbors, my kids, their kids, same ages. I want to be like, hey, is it okay if they play in the yard? So I was like, I'm going to learn Spanish, right? And the first conversation was so scary. I was like, this is awful. But the more I started speaking and speaking in Spanish, now I feel nervous, but like I can do it, right? And that's what we need. We need the first thing to be that hurdle we jump over. When I was a teacher, a special education teacher for about a decade, and I taught a lot of kids with learning disabilities in high school. So
Mhm.
these are seniors who have to write these huge papers. We have in Pennsylvania the senior
Mhm.
project. They have to get this whole thing done, but they're on like third grade reading levels, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard for them. So one of the things I started doing was creating sentence starters for them for each paragraph, and we put them in their writing notebooks, like first, next, like last, whatever. I help them get structure because what we realized was it is the start that stops us. It is
Mm.
I don't know how to take that very first step, and most of the time, once they got their first sentence, they didn't need that anymore, right? Like they don't
Mhm.
need to lean on that. It's like I just need to get going. So I have found that my confidence and stuff grows from a few ways. One is just working on that belief that, like,
Yeah.
I can figure this out, right? Like having that. And the reason I have that belief now is because I've done things I've never done before. And I
Mhm.
created we call it the change resume, right? Keep a notebook,
Mm.
keep a doc, keep whatever. Every time you do something you didn't think you could do. I never planned to write a book. That was never on a vision board for me, right?
Yep.
But here we are. Okay. 3 years later,
Mm.
books come out. So every time you do something, little, big, whatever it is, and you show up in ways that you're like, oh, I talked to that mom at the school drop off. I could never have done that. Like anything you do,
Mhm.
write it down to remind yourself that you are a person who is capable of doing things for the first time and like
Yeah.
not dying. Like I was talking to one of my
Mhm.
students and she just launched her first course or whatever, and she was like, nobody bought, and we talked about it, and I said, but it didn't happen, right? Like nobody leaned through the computer and punched you, right? Like, you're not dead. Like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? Like, we think it's gonna be so awful, and it feels
Mhm.
uncomfortable because stretching ourselves feels uncomfortable. But the more you stretch yourself, the more you get this confidence of like, I can do this. And if I fail, I fail, but I just need to move forward. So my first podcast episode, terrible. But we're about to go record episode 500. And hopefully it's better. But it's like just moving forward. And I think the other piece when we talk confidence is
Mm.
asking yourself what is the actual end result, right? Like
Mm.
for me, I want to get content out there that helps moms feel empowered to like manage their time. Okay.
Mhm.
I do not care if I win a podcasting award for being the best podcaster. I don't care if people are like, she's the best speaker in the world. Like, and for other people, maybe they have a different end goal, right? Like, but like,
Right.
that isn't it for me. So because that's not
Mhm.
my end goal, I'm less critical of myself when things
Yeah.
aren't perfect because my goal is not to like everybody's got a mic now, right? Like I don't care what the influencer's doing on podcasts. I know I'm trying to reach my mom. So when I go to do it, that's different. When I go to work on anything, I'm launching a new program, right? I'm like, my goal is to try to see if I can reach moms in a different way.
Mhm.
That's what I'm looking at, and I think that
Yeah.
translates to your house, right? Like, when I create habits and routines in my home, like, I always say, like, I give my kids they have their morning to-do list, right? And they have to brush their
Mhm.
teeth and get dressed and have their breakfast or whatever. I would like my kids to do it in a certain order because I don't want my kid going to school with toothpaste on his shirt. But guess
Yeah.
what? That's not the end goal. The end goal is that my kid does his morning routine and I have to remind him less. So does he go to school because he likes to get dressed and then brush his teeth like with yes, but that's not the point. And I think a lot of times we lose the point in perfectionism, right? We
Yeah.
lose the point because we're trying to make it look what we think it's supposed to look like instead of
Mhm.
actually asking, like, what do I want out of this? So,
Yeah.
yes, you grow your confidence by stepping up. You grow your confidence by learning a little bit, by being like, I've done this before. Like, if you're struggling with this
Mhm.
piece, ask yourself, has there been a time where I didn't know how to do something? Like,
Mhm.
all of us have had a first day of a job somewhere. We've done something where we were new at something. But we
Mhm.
forget, don't we? And then we show up and we're like, "I can't do this." And you're like, "Remember all those other things that you did?" But we forget them because all we're ever looking at is the ways we need to show up perfectly. So,
Yeah.
I went all over on my TED Talk on that one, but hopefully it helped people realize that when you move forward in competency, you start to grow your confidence, so all you have to do is start to move forward.
Yes, I love that so much. It's funny because as you're sharing it reminded me of the story of before I was a podcaster and before I did summits and wrote a book, all the things, I taught yoga for like 4 or 5 years, and I loved it. But when I first started, I had never taught yoga before, and so, like, I knew that I just needed to I called it, like, word vomit. I was like, "I just gotta get all the words out that aren't right,"
Yeah.
and I just have to teach, 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 teach until I get to, like, a place where I feel like I can just walk in and just teach. So, like, my first class, I remember that I ever led by myself, I had, like, pages of notes and, like, I was, like, I hadn't even moved my body and I'm sweating and my voice is shaky, right? Or, like, it sounds probably a lot like my first podcast episode.
Yep.
And then, you keep showing up and you have fewer notes. And one time I was trying to tell my students to raise their fingertips to the sky, and it came out, "Raise your fingertits." I don't even use that word, but I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, we're just gonna roll with it, right?" But if you can, like, learn to laugh at yourself, learn to, like, pick yourself up after your mistakes or after the failures, right? And, like, I mean, my students still text me about that, and I'm like, "I haven't taught yoga in, like, a decade, and this is hilarious that we're still
Yeah.
talking about it," right? But, like, sometimes we get so in our head that we can't show up unless it's, quote, "perfect."
Yeah.
And like you said, with this growth mindset approach, it's like, no, what if we just show up the way that we are and we keep showing up and the confidence grows? And like, yeah, I probably still say some weird words sometimes, but for the most part, I've gotten all the word vomit out. And then like now, like I could walk into a classroom and teach a yoga class without any notes, right? Like I don't need a notebook. And you can take off like was it like when you go, bowling and there's, like, the bumpers, right? You get to
Oh,
take
yep.
off the bumpers
Yes.
of
Yeah.
life, right? So I love that you're reminding us that, like, we get to have belief in ourselves. We get to create this change resume. I love that so much.
Mhm.
And, like, it's okay if there are mistakes along the way. Like, if you flub your words or, like, you don't show up the way that, like, the ideal version of you in your head would, like, that's okay. We get to try again. And like you said, like, what is the worst that could happen, right? And if you can live with that, it's probably worth trying.
Yeah. 100%. Because that
Yeah.
that perfectionism becomes our procrastination tool, right?
Mhm.
Sit in, I can't do it this way. I don't look this way. I am not qualified enough this. Like all these things we
Mhm.
tell ourselves. Because again, my podcast's been around, since 2019. I thought about it since 2017. Right? Like it
Yeah.
took me 2 years to get the courage to go forward. And
Mhm.
now I look at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're really about to do 500 episodes. And I almost didn't even start. Like,
Yes.
and that's the thing I just think is so important, especially like I said, because of the moms I work with, so many of them are trying to work from home. They might have their
Mhm.
full-time job and they're trying to do like a side hustle to try to build something new so they can, change their
Mhm.
hours, or they're trying to manage all of these things. And when you're managing a lot of things, you have a percentage of failing, like, that is higher than if you aren't managing a lot of
Yes.
things, right? Like, I have to make so many decisions, and
Yeah.
throughout the day, if I make 100 decisions, which I'm sure I make more, I probably mess up on at least 10 of them, right? And
Yep.
because we're constantly doing this, while looking at that math, you're like, "Well, that's just 10%, like, that's not bad, 90%, like, whatever." But our brain wants to be like, "Failure, failure, failure, failure," right? Like, our brain wants to be like, "See all the ways you messed up," instead of, "Look at all the ways you showed up." And I think
Yeah.
that's the key tool that we'll pull out for this is just we can't let perfectionism and that thought of, like, if I can't do it a certain way, I'm not gonna do it at all, hold us
Mhm.
back because we will just be waiting forever for everything. Those
Yeah.
goals you have, and I have a lot of moms that come to me that are like, empty nesters, grandmas, right? We have a couple in their
Mhm.
80s because like, they're in this, like, 2nd, 3rd half of their life or whatever, and they wanna do something, and this one woman, she inspires me so much because she has these conversations. They're real, not the most fun, right? But she's like, "This
Yeah.
is probably the last set of goals I'm gonna make," right? She's,
Mhm.
in mid-80s, and she's like, "This is, like, the last set of goals I'm probably gonna make, so I wanna make them good," right?
Yeah.
You don't wanna get to this place where you're like, "Look at all these things I didn't do, and now
Mhm.
I'm here because I was too afraid to just get started because I wouldn't have been perfect."
Yeah.
When a lot of times, like, no one's expecting us to be perfect except for the voice in our head that is
Mhm.
what's holding us back.
Totally. And do you find that some of the women that you work with, because I find this in my community and I even have found it in myself in different seasons of waiting for permission to
Mm.
start. Like with my podcast, for example, like I also had it on my heart and in my head to do for the longest time. And I just kinda kept like, I don't know, just like, "Ah, I've got a little baby, da da da," I can make up every excuse in the book. And then one day, one of my good friends at the time texted me and was like, "Hey, I really think you should start a podcast." And that was the thing that got me to be like, "Okay, I think I'm gonna buy a course and, like, learn more about this," right? And without that person, I don't know if I would have ever done it, right? And now I'm at a point in life where, like, I have these ideas and I'm all in and I go for it. I'm not waiting for permission anymore. But I mean, it's been 10 years of personal development to get to that place.
Yes. Yep.
Do you see that in your community too,
All the
where we're
time.
waiting for permission?
I actually as if Caraism, as we call them, I've got lots of them, and one of them, and I probably say it once a week on our coaching calls, is you don't need the permission, but I'm gonna give it to you in case you have to hear it today. Because
Yeah.
while you are innately, um, built to do whatever, right? Like, you don't
Mhm.
need me to give you permission. So many of us are not there. And so I'm always like, "You don't need permission to, like, do a little more, but, like, go for it," right? Like, I wanna
Mhm.
say it to you because a lot of times we feel like someone has to let us do that because especially for moms, like, the pressure that we are under to manage everything is a lot. So it's like, if I
Yeah.
fail at this, all we see are, like, what are the consequences of failing and
Mhm.
not what could come out on the other side if I just get started. And so we need this permission until we're ready to give it to ourselves. And sometimes I
Mhm.
will say even speaking of, like, your friend messaging you, we need that support system. I'm gonna give you a real again,
Yeah.
I'm the expert here, but I struggle with it too. So I did an in-person event, live event. It was wonderful, about a year and a half ago. My community's been asking, "Do more live, do more live." And I'm like, "Oh, like, it's just so much work. What if nobody ca" like, there's all the thoughts. And
Yeah.
my one of my team members, Courtney, was like, just do it smaller. Like, just do it imperfectly, like, you're overthinking it, and you just have to start it. So, we decided last minute, literally, like, 3 weeks out, like, let's record the episode 500 live. If people show up, they show up. I was able to find a place that was letting me record for free. I was like, "Great, we'll get some food, we'll record the episode. If people come, they come, and if even if it's 2 people, I'm gonna do it." And I needed the permission for someone to be like, "It's
Mm.
okay if it's not go big or go home." Because in my head, it was,
Mhm.
"Well, we did this massive event and rented event, like, we already did this, so I need to do it bigger." And she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Ooh, okay." Like, my husband
Yeah, I see you.
yes, right? My husband would be like, "What would you tell one of your moms?" And I'm like, "Shut up." But I'm also like, "Yes." Like, I need
Uh-huh.
that too sometimes of, like, I don't need the permission, but when you get yourself around a good support system,
Mhm.
they can help empower you when you're not feeling it. Because here's the other thing is sometimes like again, imposter syndrome, I'll get in my head like, well, I should just because I'm the productivity, I should be able to coach myself through. But I also
Mhm.
need those people, right? And
Yeah.
we want like I would love if my husband was my person all the time, but he's not. He does not care about my goals like I do. So I have
Yep.
multiple people. I have multiple groups. I have the people who are cheering for me, and you're still gonna have the people who aren't, right? But I have the
Mhm.
people who speak life into me who are like, "You should go for this," and we need to be that to other people. The more we are that to other
Yeah.
people, the more we will attract that, and then
Mhm.
you start to notice you say things to people, and you're like, I'm telling you, I, like, listen to my podcast every week, and I batch, so, I recorded all my episodes, like, a month and a half ago, and I'm like, "Dang, Kara, I needed to hear that," right? Like, I need it too. So the more that you give like, you are this for other people, the more you're gonna start to listen to your own advice, and, like, that's the
Yeah.
thing to ask yourself. If I had a friend, my best friend, who wanted to do this thing, came to me with this situation, but was saying she was afraid or doubting or not sure if she was
Mhm.
worthy or whatever it is, what would I tell her? Right. And, I, what would I tell my daughter? Like, I take very seriously
Mm.
raising this next generation. My daughter's 10. Like, she is something, she is very like self assured. She knows what she wants.
Mhm.
And I take it seriously because I'm like, I would never tell her, like, oh, you probably don't have the skills for that. I would say, well,
Yeah.
yeah, what can we do
Dreaming
together?
a little too big.
Yeah, it's too big. And you know what? I will tell you something. Oh, man. Okay, so this is vulnerable, right? So I have
Mm.
some vision board stuff here on the back, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then I have the stuff that like I didn't have on my plan for this year, but pops into my head after I made my vision board, right? And
Mm.
they're not huge things. I need a new laptop. I just didn't have it planned. I want to go see Hamilton. We're going to Italy, like things like that, right? But last night, this just happened. My daughter came in the room and she was, like, looking at the vision board. We just made them in Girl Scouts too, so she, like, knows what a vision board is. She was
Aw.
like, "Are these your goals?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I don't like this one." So this is a picture of kids doing laundry because one of the goals I have for the year is my kids doing more stuff. And she's like,
Yeah.
"So that's what you want? Like, to go hiking and hold hands?" And she was like, "Mom, you should probably dream a little bit bigger, huh?" And I was like, "Oh, but you got me," right? Because
Yeah.
along the way, I had a really hard year. I lost some of my own confidence. Like, I really did. And I
Mhm.
needed to hear that. So I actually wrote on a piece of paper, it said this top one just says dream bigger. Because right now I'm like struggling at this place where I'm like, feeling the like, am I worthy? Like, again, still struggling with it, but I pulled the tools out and I said,
Yes.
"You know what? You're right. Like, when did I stop believing all these things about myself that I tell you and stuff?" And I could tell that I was getting in her head, and I was like, so I wrote that and I put it up with her last night, and I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna work on that this year." I was like, "Because these are great things, and I'm pretty sure all of them are gonna happen. I don't have a plan for all of them. I'm like, they're not the most far-fetched thing in the world, right?"
Mhm.
But I should dream bigger. But somewhere I realized I lost some of that confidence and I needed
Mhm.
more. Like I needed that outside person to be like,
Mm.
of course you can do that and more. Like, you know
Yeah.
that, right? And I'm like, I do know that. Like, thank you for that reminder. So I think it's like
Mm.
pulling those people in to remind you when you lose faith in yourself because it does
Yeah.
happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think and that's why I love doing these events and like you're a summit host, like a podcaster, coach. You like we do so much of the same stuff where like because we believe in this power of like bringing powerful women together and like the power of like having somebody reach a hand back to somebody who's like 1 or 2 steps behind them and being like, "Let me help you." And then that same person getting to reach like their hand forward and being like, "Oh, great. There's somebody ahead of me who can help me." Right. And that like we don't have to do this alone. And like
Yes.
I was in a season last year, so 2025, where I was thinking about it recently and I was like, I think it was kind of the year I lost my sparkle a little bit. Like
Mm,
because I had long COVID and I was super sick for like 10 months and I just like the reason I ended up writing the book was because I was like, I literally don't have the energy to do anything, but I
mm,
could probably outline a chapter today. Like it was rough. But I, like I lost a little bit of my sparkle, but then like, had to pull into my life those people that help you get that back, you know? Like and my husband's always been, like, my biggest cheerleader, like, he believes in me before I believe in myself usually. But then, joining coaching programs and getting a new mentor and, like, hiring a different business coach, like, all these different like, calling these people into your life that can remind you like your daughter did too, which is, like, so stinking beautiful. I'm, like, trying not to cry on this interview because that's,
oh, you
like,
should
oh,
yeah,
my
it is
heart.
so sweet. But and it's also like things like Let's Talk the podcast, right? I always tell moms, like, if you're working on a decluttering goal, if you're working on learning about Pinterest, whatever you're working on, find a podcast about that topic and listen to it while you're doing it. Because, like,
Yeah.
I was going over some budgeting stuff. I had a long drive yesterday and I was like, oh, I got to go home and like redo my budget for the week because it's Sunday. I listened to
Yep.
budgeting podcasts on the way home. And guess what? While I might have a budgeting coach in my life right now, I had that
Mhm.
person in my ear and I feel like I know them, right? And I also
Yep.
that helps get the spark back, and I think what also is important from this conversation I want people to hear is, like, it happens to all of us. Like, that
Yeah.
Lucy Got Sparkle thing, like, that was my word for this year is awaken because I feel like I was telling my sister yesterday, I'm like, "I'm happy," right? But I feel like I'm missing, like, jumps of joy, right? Like, I'm just
Yeah.
feel like I'm like, "Do, do, 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 do," which again, it's my kids, right? Season of life, all this stuff I have going on.
Mhm.
But I was like, I'm gonna pull a little bit of that out." It happens
Yeah.
to all of us, and it's what you do with that information, right? I
Yeah.
could be, "Well, this is just how life is," right? Like, I could be, this is just my season. So I
Uh-huh.
find this mix of this is my season of life where I'm incredibly busy, right? My daughter's in competitive cheer, my son plays travel baseball, like I've got my job, I've got the part-time, I got all these things. But I ask myself every day, well, how can I choose to fit me in? Right? Like how can I
Mhm.
choose to have space for my goals? How can I choose a space for my business? How can I have joy is one of those things. I'm challenging myself. Right now it's once a week. I want to get to like every day, but like where is
Yeah.
my joy in my week? And we did this on planning last night, my program where we go through the planning system. And the last thing I say is, I want you to make sure you have something that will bring you joy this week. And I stopped and I
Mhm.
was like, what am I doing? Like, I really didn't like, I couldn't find it because it wasn't obvious. Like, last weekend,
Yeah.
it was a birthday, like, it was obvious, like, I didn't have any obvious joy, and so I
Yep.
had to really sit and think, and what that did was it helped me also have gratitude in the everyday. Like, I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, where is the joy?" And one of my friends, her husband works from home, so, like, we can't really always or he works nights, so we can't always go out. So on Wednesday nights, we go to her house after the kids go to bed at 9 o'clock, and we watch, like, 2 episodes of, like, reality TV and catch up, right? Like,
I
a
love
bunch of us,
that.
there's, like, 4 of us, and we sit and do it. And we've missed weeks because of the holidays. And I was like,
Mhm.
"That's my joy this week." Like, I haven't gotten to just sit and, like, hang out with my friends for an hour, and then we all come in our pajamas, and then we all go home, right? Like, it's not but
Oh,
it's
I love
finding that
this.
joy. It's honestly, it's, the best thing I think we've done for our, like, our not only our friendship, but just as people to realize everything doesn't have to be this big if we can find
Yeah.
the joy in the small moments. And I think
Yeah.
when just to loop it all back to your belief in yourself is, like, are you finding those small moments where you're showing up. Like, every time I work out, I'm like, "I'm proud of you." I'm proud. Like, I
Mhm.
hurt my foot this weekend a little bit, and I got up and worked out this morning, and I was like, "I'm so proud that you did this out loud." And this is what I wanna push
Yep.
people to do. Talk to yourself. If people walked by my house, they'd be like, "What is she?" I'm just always talking to myself because you have to retrain the voice in your head, the one that's like, "I can't do it," the one that's the limiting beliefs from your kids, all that psychoanalytical stuff we could go into, right? I would rather your voice start to sound like you and what you want
Mhm.
it to be and not whatever else it sounds like. So I very much talk to myself all the time when I show up for stuff and I'm like, "Wow, way to go." Like, I love to track things and gamify and be like, "You did that." Every time I track that thing, I cross it off my list. Like, I not only cross it off my list that I got it done, but I affirm, like, "Way to show up." Like, "Look at how
Yeah.
far you're coming." Because we really lose belief in ourselves very fast.
Mhm.
It's for some of us, it happens when we're really little, right? And like we never have had it. For some of us, it happens in certain moments, certain situations, certain people. You have to speak that into yourself in those small moments. And that's when the compound effect, right, of doing things every little day will you won't even realize how loud it is. And then all of a sudden
Mhm.
you're in a different situation where you would have maybe felt self-conscious or not confident. And all of a sudden you're like, you handle it differently. And like, who
Yeah.
that was me. I did that. Like, oh, I'm really
Yeah.
happy because we show up tiny, tiny, tiny ways.
Mhm.
And that's I always tell my mom's like, while I want you to achieve your goals, right? You're like, oh, I want to go run a half marathon, a 5K, whatever you want to do. I want you to do that. What I want you to do more though is to show up for that goal. That's all
Mhm.
I really want because there's three parts, right, of our goal. Like there's the actual goal. Check, did I complete? There's the crafting time in your schedule for the goal, that's like a whole thing, and then there's actually just showing up to make progress, and we only look
Yeah.
at A. We only look at that first one, and we're like, "If I didn't start the podcast or write the book or do the
Mhm.
course, then I failed." But what about all the times you just showed up? What about all the ways and that's why I love trackers, little pom-poms in the jar like, I want you to visualize it because in the day-to-day, it feels mundane, it feels like you're not doing enough, it will never when you're a high performance driven person,
Mhm.
it will never be enough. You will continue to move the goalpost if your only goalpost is
Mhm.
completion. So I have switched my life to being like, completion's important. Like I want to finish things, but my actual goalpost, my milestones are the showing up. And that has
Yes.
allowed me to stop looking at everything as 100% and zero. It's like,
Yeah.
how did I make progress?
I love that so much, and I think that's so much more sustainable, helps us avoid burnout,
Yeah.
and it helps us feel like successful every day, right? Like, cause not every day has to be this big celebration of like, look, I did this big thing. Like, yeah, we want to celebrate those milestones for sure. But like sometimes the celebration is like, I showed up today and I was tired, or the kids were up all night, or like, whatever. Like somebody's homesick and I didn't get good sleep, or whatever it is. Like there's so many reasons we could not do it. And so just celebrating the fact that you showed up and then that you showed up consistently and like I always like to think about like I was a runner before I had kids. I still like I love moving my body. I like to rollerblade now. That's I'm like
I
such a
love
goober.
I found that was a new one I found in my 40s, by the way, was
Oh,
so
I'm
scared.
so glad.
I was so afraid of how I would look, and I would all this,
Mm.
and I'm gonna fall, I don't remember how to do it, and I roller skated with my daughter, she loves to do it, and I was like, "This is hard," and then I put on blades, and I was like, "This is so fun." So that's
This
one of
is
the
so
things for
fun.
myself this year is to do
Yes.
good. Yes, yes.
Yes, and I look ridiculous, right? I've got like a rainbow helmet and rainbow
Mhm.
pads and like turquoise rollerblades and I love them so much. And like the reason I bring it up is because, like, I love the woman that I get to grow into. Like, before I had kids, like, the woman I got to grow into when I trained for a half marathon was, like, a woman who showed up for herself and honored the commitment to herself, the woman who prioritized, her what she was eating to fuel her body, like, the woman who made the time to go for all those training runs, right? Like, the race itself was the victory lap because, like, it was who you became along the way, and even with rollerblading, it's still like that. It's like it's not about the distance I cover one day or like, the dog I bring with me that enjoys herself, like which I love, by the way, but, like, it's me getting to be joyful in the moment while I'm rollerblading, right? And, like, probably entertaining the heck out of my neighbors at the sa at the
Yes.
same time, but, like, I just yeah, I love this reminder that, like, it's about the journey. It's about the confidence we get to grow by showing up and saying yes to ourselves every day, and that gets to look different from day to day too.
Yeah,
Like, our bodies are cyclical as women, like, life is cyclical, there are different seasons of life, like, what if
yep.
we can just appreciate and honor where we are each day? And that's so much of what I appreciate about how you share and how you teach, is that it's so sustainable, but I also love that you're bringing this joy piece into
Yeah.
because, like, we don't wanna lose the day-to-day joy in pursuit of the goals, like, I love that
Yeah.
those little like, those jumps of joy, as you said, are still there.
Yeah. When
So
every day is
beautiful.
different, and I think when you can redefine what success looks like for yourself based on where you're at, like I teach this concept of like making when the poop hits the fan blocks. We started with talking like a little
Mhm.
bit of pre-planning, intentionality. This is part of it.
Yep.
So I encourage people to go through your schedule. We do time blocking and then make these when the poop hits the fan blocks. I want you to pick one thing per time block that's your bare minimum. If it's a shower, if
Mm.
it's I'm going to get my dishes loaded, if it's I got to answer my email, whatever your one thing is. And if you get
Mm.
that done, that's your success for the day. And I work with a lot of moms who have
Yeah.
chronic illnesses, so they're, like, having migraines, they wake up the next day, they need reentry plans,
Yeah.
and that really changed my mindset around, like, what does success look like today? What does success
Mhm.
look like for this? Last Monday, first day of school after winter break, I was like, "I am taking a nap." So, you know what? And then Tuesday, success for me looked like, I was like, "All right, like, you can't do this every," like, you can't.
Yeah.
So success on Tuesday was, "You don't take a nap." And I was like, "Boom, we're getting more work done," right? Like, it was like I slowly got myself back into work mode
Yeah.
after coming off break because I wanted to go all in, but I was like, I'm not there. Like, I'm not
Yep.
there, and if I pushed myself so hard off the gate, I was gonna burn out. And then it was
Yeah.
like, "All right, well, maybe I watched one episode of TV," where that
Yes.
slowly, what does my day look like based on where I'm at in my cycle and what goal I'm working on, all
Yeah.
of it important. So, like, the night before, look at your schedule, look at each time block and say, like, "What does success look like in this time block? What does success
Mhm.
look like in this," like, make it so small for yourself so that you're not putting pressure on your self to cross everything off every block. Yeah, like, I never
Yeah.
get everything done on my to-do list, like, ever.
Yeah.
I don't ever have a day where I do that, but I
Yeah.
move forward, and I think that when you can reframe and ask yourself that question, like, "What is success gonna
Mhm.
look like for me for this today in this moment?"
Mm.
You're less likely to quit because you're like, "Oh, I didn't beat my," like, I used to run too, and I didn't would be like beat myself up when I was younger if I wasn't faster. I didn't beat my PR. I didn't go
Right.
and then post kids, there's like this 10 miler that I run in Philly, and I was like, my post kids was like, I just want to finish this. Like, we're just gonna show
Right?
up, right? Like, we're just gonna. I don't care what time it is, right? Like, it's just about showing up. And I was so proud of myself. I didn't even care how much of it I had to walk because it was like you said, every time I had showed up had built that, and that's where our
Yeah.
confidence is. It's in the showing up, no matter how big or how small, and coupling that with applauding for yourself
Yes.
and having letting other people applaud for you like that.
Yeah.
I said to my husband, like, it's probably so annoying living with like a life coach, but like we are, we're always like, what are you? Let's sell. Like, I'm just like really
Yes.
trying to with my kids. Like, I'm just, like, really happy that they, like, show up to try and, like, you did that.
Yep.
And I'm a mess, but I'll walk in the room and be like, "Guess what I just did? I finished my workout." They'll be like,
Yep.
"Okay," and I'm like, "I'm just letting everyone know. I'm just letting everyone know," like, because we have to, and now my kids will come in and be like, "Good job on your workout, mom." "Thank you," right? Like,
Thank you.
create that culture where people are celebrating you and you celebrate yourself.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I am so here for that. Yeah. We love to do the same thing in our house of just like, we call it pits and peaches. We do it every night at dinner. A pit is something that you're like, yeah, that wasn't great. But the peach is like, here's something that went well today. And it's like, and it's all about celebrating each other and holding space for each other and like acknowledging the day. Okay. So I could talk to you all day, Kara. Oh my gosh. Like
Yeah.
I feel like, well, first of all, I need to learn more about your live recording when we get off the air
Yes.
because I would love to come support you because I'm not that far away. But 2, I know that you have this really incredible weekly planner, checklist, and Trello board, which by the way, Trello boards have like changed my life.
Yeah.
And I like don't say that lightly, but they are so incredible. And I know that it's your gift for everybody who is here. So like guys, our speakers at this event have just been so insanely generous. And Kara is chief among them. So Kara, can you tell us and friends, the link is going to be in your listening app. So like don't leave the app, just scroll down to grab this free resource. But can you tell us what can people find in this resource you have for them?
Yeah, so if you've never heard of Trello, it is a free tool you can use. It's a project management software that I've kind of flipped on its head to manage my home and my life. And inside of it, I have our weekly checklist. I mentioned a few times that we do planning in my coaching. It follows our step
Mhm.
by step checklist that we do to fit in your goals for the week. And then there's a corresponding Trello board with videos. If you've never done Trello, there's a video in there. It'll show you how to use it if you want to make it digital. So that's kind of
Mhm.
all packaged in one.
I love that so much. And Carrie, you are so sweet. And you have this beautiful addition to our giveaway. So, again, friends, the way to get entered into the giveaway is go pre order my book over on Amazon. fill out the super brief Google form. All that again is below in your episode description, all those links. But that will get you entered to win the giveaways. And Kara has given us the Mompreneur Trello Bundle, which I'm not going to lie, I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, I probably need the Mompreneur Trello Bundle in my life too. So, Kara, for our lucky winner, what can she or he expect?
Yeah, so again, Trello has been a tool that has helped me organize my life because it's an organized Pinterest board essentially,
Yeah.
but you can keep systems and flows together. So there's 7 boards specifically for business stuff that are already pre-made. I've got a social media board, a webinar board, a launch board, like all the systems that you need in your business. Each one has a video of like this is my suggestion on how to best use it,
Mm,
and then there's a board you can just copy and start to apply right away to your business.
I love that so much. And Kara, for everyone who's listening and they're like, I need more Cara Harvey in my life. Where do I find her online? How do I listen to her podcast? All the things. Like, tell us all the ways to connect with you. What's going on in your business world? Like, how can we support you? Like, give us all the details.
Yeah, come hang out. So my podcast is called The Purpose Driven Mom Show. So you can head and check that out anywhere you podcast. The book, which it's wild, it's been 3 years, still sells every week, like on
Amazing.
Amazon, like it's still doing its thing.
So
Which
exciting.
which is really fun because I don't have a marketing strategy right now. Like I'm just like people find it. It's called the 15-minute formula: How busy moms ditch the guilt, say yes to what matters, and conquer their goals. And if you go to the 15minuteformula.com/free, I have a workbook that goes with the book. So even if you don't buy the
Cool.
book's linked there. You can grab the workbook and it'll help you with some of your goals. And then, yeah, I'm launching a brand new program in February, the end of February should be called On Purpose You. And it is all about figuring out what is the correct path for your goals in your specific season. And it's going to be a library of resources to help you figure out how to be aligned. How do you get some momentum? It's going to be super cute. We got majors and minors and the whole thing going for you.
Oh my
So
God.
you can go to purposedrivenmom.com/onpurposeyou, to go to learn more about that, depending on if we're open or if we're in a wait list or who knows where we'll be at that time. But that's coming out at the end of February.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, Kara, thank you so much. Friends, we're going to put links, everything I was just mentioned below in your episode description. Like, you don't even have to leave your app, just scroll on down, go subscribe to the show, get on the wait list, join the program, do all the things, connect on social. Cause like these speakers are just phenomenal women. And if you find one that resonates with you, like go follow that person, go connect with them. Kara, achieve among them. Thank you so much for being here, sweet
Thank you.
friend. And
Yes.
just love getting to collaborate together again.
So it was so fun. And again, speaking comments, I haven't done speaking in like 2 months since it was the holidays. And I was like feeling like, do I got this again? And then I get on, I'm like, I need to speak more. It's so much fun. So you just need to go forward. Everybody listening today, just do something. Small step, big
Exactly.
step. Just do anything today. But Kate, thank you for having me.
Way to go, team. Oh my gosh, Kara, you would never know it's been a couple of months. Isn't that the best part about like connecting with other podcasters and other speakers is you just get on and it just flows.
It's so nice to do interviews and stuff with people who also do it because it just
Yes,
it's
exactly.
very
Exactly.
natural.